Welcome everyone to Flow Fanatic. Today is day number 2 of 25 in the 25-day challenge. We are going to be solving 25 different Salesforce problems with the use of Salesforce flows. And the goal here is to encourage, educate, and inspire those in the ecosystem to learn more about flows, learn what's possible, and hopefully to incorporate that into your day-to-day development. We're going to start off with just a quick housekeeping item. Yesterday, I neglected to go ahead and put up a sign-up form for those of you who are interested in receiving the daily challenges, reminders of office hours, and the solution that will be delivered in the evenings. So I went ahead and built out, of course, a screen flow this morning, and I embedded it on a community so that it's public facing and you guys can interact with it. The link for that's flowfanatic.force.com. You can see it right here. If you guys want to go ahead and enter your information and start to play around with the screen flow, for those of you who never have, it may be a bit fun and exciting. That would be great. And I'll also include that link in the post for this today. Let's go ahead and jump into today's challenge. So today's challenge is an idea on the Trailblazer community around history tracking for users, okay? So Kristen made this post about the ability to basically track changes to specific fields on the user object, okay? So right now in Salesforce, we have this functionality and capability for most standard objects and all custom objects, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and show you, for those of you who've never seen this, I'm just gonna quickly dabble into what this looks like. I can pull up the account object, and let's just say that I wanna start tracking changes that any user makes to certain fields. I can click on fields and relationships. I'll select set history tracking. I can enable this, right? You only need to do this once, but I'll enable the history tracking. And then I may say, you know what? I want to track the account name. I want to track the account number. I want to track the fax number. And what this is going to do is when people make changes to those fields, it's going to record the changes. You'll be able to report on those changes. And effectively, you have an audit of what's happened to that record. Who made the change? What date was the change made on? In some, but not all cases, what the old value was and what the new value is, okay? Now, the problem and the reason that this idea was created is this functionality, though available on most standard and all custom objects, it's not available on the user object, okay? I want to point out a couple other limitations of the current functionality. And the reason I want to point those out is those limitations may actually cause you to want to use technology like we're going to talk about today for other objects, okay? So right now you can only track 20 fields, okay? You can also, the data is only available through the user interface for 18 months. It's available for an additional 6 months, which brings you to 24 months through the API, okay? But 18 months through the user interface, we can only track 20 fields. If you purchase a product called Shield that Salesforce sells, that will bring you to 10 years of tracking, and it will add on, I believe it's 40 more fields, so for a total of 60 fields that you can track. The functionality that we're going to build, you could track 50 fields if you want. Okay, you could track 100 fields if you wanted. You could hold that data for the next 50 years, right? So we don't have those limits, which is another really, really nice thing about this, and which potentially allows you to extend this to other objects. So really quickly, why do we want to track changes? Well, if you're in a highly regulated field, you may want to track changes because auditors may come in, they want to may be able to want to see who made a change to what record and what date, and can we basically find a record of that happening, right? Or you may just want to track this for internal purposes. But we're going to go ahead and jump into a demo of the functionality. I want to mention that today's going to be a little different. This is a fairly complex build and solution, and so we're going to break it up into 2 pieces. The first is going to be really just focused on building out a tool in the background that's going to make these changes, or sorry, it's going to create these audit records for you, okay? The second piece is creating the user experience to make this easier and more manageable. Okay, and so what I mean by that is just like we saw with Salesforce before, where we could check those boxes to basically activate and deactivate certain fields, I'm going to show you how to, on top of creating the automation, I'm going to show you how to basically create a user interface or user experience where a system admin can quickly go in and say, you know what, we don't want to track the profile changes anymore, but we do want to start tracking changes to the mobile number, okay? And it would be as simple as checking a box or unchecking a box. Now, we still need to build all the functionality under the hood, but that's going to provide us a really nice user experience that's very similar to how Salesforce works right now. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to pull up the Flow Fanatic user. And it turns out that Flow Fanatic has a change to his phone number. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to click on edit. I'm going to go ahead and update his phone number. Unfortunately, he actually had the phone number wrong. It's 203-253-7770. So I'm going to go ahead and make that change. I'll click on save. And now you'll notice what happens in the background is Salesforce created an audit record for us. Okay, we can see what time, 9:03. Sorry, my timing's about 3 hours behind. It must be set to Pacific Standard when I'm in Eastern Standard. We can see who this was changed by. So which user made the change, right? Which is different than which user record the change was made to. We can see what field was changed, the mobile number field. We can see the old value and we can see the new value, okay? One other thing I'm just going to show you, we're not going to cover this today, but just to give people some ideas for what they could build. If I scroll over, I also created a field called action. And it's getting cut off a little bit. But effectively, what action does is action, here I'll click view all so we can see this. Action basically provides some text that specifies what the change was, right? So we can see what fields change mobile from this to this. So it basically combines some text with some of the values, the old value, the new value, and what field, okay? So just an idea for people who do want to incorporate something like that, that's totally possible. It will require a little more work on your end. All right, so that's the core functionality that we're going to talk about. But again, I'm going to quickly show you the user interface as well that I created, and I will cover both of those things in a two-part video this evening. So I can come up here and I have an app that I created called Field Audit. I can go ahead and click on Audit Objects, and it looks very similar to any other object or tab, right, that we access. I can see all the different objects that I've basically created these audit records for. For today's purposes, I'm going to click on the user audit object, okay? And I can see a bunch of fields, okay? And to the right of those fields, I can see whether or not they're active or not, okay? So what this user experience effectively allows me to do is I can come in and I can say, you know what? I don't need to track mobile number anymore. Let's start tracking the profile, right? Or maybe I want to track both the mobile number and the profile. I want to be very clear, all the functionality on the back end to track all this stuff still needs to be built. It's not like I can come in here for the first time and like add 5 records and check them all and the functionality works. We still are going to need that engine running underneath the hood. But once you build that engine and you build out this user interface, I can come in here and I can say, you know what? I no longer want to track the mobile number. I'm going to uncheck this. And now anytime someone makes a change to the mobile number field, I'll show you this right now. I make a change to the mobile number. It will no longer be recorded, right? Because it is not active in my list of fields to track. Okay, so that's the second piece. Again, we'll cover both pieces. Office hours are from 1 to 2 today, Eastern Standard Time. If you have any questions, reach out. And feel free to follow us on Twitter. The handle is flowfanatic_C. Follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and come join for office hours. Bring whatever questions you have. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys for the solution this evening.